You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Center, this is Phoenix FM.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share facts.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
This is We'll do it live! Time goes in, time goes out. Never miscommunication.
It's over 9,000! My name is Foxy.
The balls are in there. Do a barrel roll! Don't save me, bro! It's a trap! I'm a firing memory. Time to do. Hey, Charlie, wake up! Oh, God, oh, man.
Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Nerd to Know Basis show. I am Cian O'Callaghan and with us are...
Oh, it's me. Ahoy!
Dara, it's you.
Ahoy, everybody. I was like, wait, there's someone before me. It's like, no. Ahoy, everybody. I am Dara.
Grin ain't here this week.
It's never here, but, you know, that's okay.
And also with us, grinning for the benefit of radio listeners.
And I'm Kev, leading Dara by the hand.
Yes, here we are
It's been
on
a long
Phoenix
week.
92.5
It's
FM
only
and
Wednesday.
of course Spotify and all the wonderful places on the internet. We have a surprising amount to cover this week because, as I'm sure many of you have noticed, August is just nerd crazy this month because we've had the Sandman, we have new Game of Thrones coming out next week, we've got Marvel stuff coming in from everywhere, there's been Star Trek, there's been not Doctor Who, we'll talk about that, and just seemingly a lot of everything. But before we get into it, Dara, is there anything you passionately want to discuss amongst a whole plethora of topics we have this month?
Yes. So, one, if you haven't been to our website, nerdtoknowmedia.com, please do. Thank you to everybody who's been over to it. Our numbers were always pretty good, but they're a lot better now online than they were because it crashed the website. So, thank you guys for going over and saying, hey.
Our favorite kind of technical fault.
Exactly. I mean, they're the easiest ones to fix. So, I managed to upscale the website. So yeah, everything is there. Like all the podcasts, there's links to them from the RSS feed, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram. It's all there. And there's also like a live player as well for the Phoenix FM folks. So, I mean, that's great. I'm really happy that everyone is using the website and enjoying it. So that's great. If you haven't been over there, nerdtoknowmedia.com is where you can find everything we do. And what I will encourage anyone who's just started listening, go back on Spotify. There used to be a lot more shows from Kev, from Cian, from Katie. They're all still there. Just go back and you'll be able to find them. There's easy, nearly 210 shows, maybe, I think. There's so many shows.
If I may, I am. It's about like a year out now. I am still very happy with the Anime Crash Course output, even limited run as it may be. Which is completely wild because I literally just finished reading up to date One Punch Man, the manga, which is buck wild, by the way. But that series starts off great and just shoots into the damn stratosphere in the manga.
What I might try to figure out a way to do is to group them together as playlists on Spotify.
Absolutely,
but I just haven't done that yet. There's a lot of cool features that the platform are using actually allows you to do, so I will kind of group those together because there's some great shows, like obviously the Rewind and Nerd to Know bases, and then there's also Bite Size Britain and Once Upon the Turnbuckle. They're
5 o'clock.
There are weekly shows that we do, but yeah, other shows have existed, so yeah, check them out. Another thing, right, so I actually bought comics today.
Oh,
right. So it's new comic book day on Wednesday because we record.
How retro.
Well, you know me, Ken. Now, here's the thing. I broke my rule and I actually bought Marvel books as well, right? and the Marvel ones look trashy as all heck.
Would you like to explain the rule for the benefit of people listening?
Don't buy Marvel books that are current because they're terrible. But
Some journalistic integrity there.
Oh, absolutely. I wear my biases. But the thing about it is Marvel have earned the right of being terrible, right? Okay, so some books I bought today because there's some cool releases that came out today. So the first one is Batman the Knight, the final test. And that's like an ongoing series, which is a really, really kind of good series. The art's fantastic. It's all about like the trials of basically early Bruce Wayne, so it's like a retelling of the Bruce Wayne story. A new Riddler focus story called One Bad Day. The Riddler #1 came out. There's some really cool variants as well. So picked up 2 of those. So they're obviously going to be very, very good because DC do not suck.
Marvel, a name like One Bad Day, it seems like they're Jokerifying the Riddler.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I'm amazed there aren't more Killing Joke clones, actually.
Oh, there are. They just don't do them anymore. It's not the 80s anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a million Dark Knight Returns clones and all that kind of stuff.
But here's what I wanted to talk about, right? So I don't buy Marvel books normally because, like the last good Marvel book was Edge of Spider-Verse. They're very, very rare, you know. But I picked up Avengers. 10,000 BC. And that looks like terrible trash. It's basically the Avengers in the past. So, yeah, Black Panther's literally a panther.
So it's basically the 1604 or whatever by Neil Gaiman, but
exactly
high concept or
Another good one though that actually isn't trash is Death to Mutants. It's an Avengers, X-Men, and Eternals crossover with Kieran Gillian, and Kieran Gillian's great. Like, anything. Written by that writer is going to be great, but the fact that they're trying to like rehab the Eternals and the X-Men as well is super funny to me. But I just kind of really like this crossover, and it's very, very interesting from what I read so far. So if you're a fan of the Eternals, do pick it up. And I know people are like, who's a fan of Turtles? The Eternals. I am. And yeah, it's super good. The next one though, I think the most relevant one, is Edge of Spider-Verse 2.
This is the one the film is based on, I'm assuming.
Correct. So the original Edge of Spider-Verse was a couple of years ago. It had the introduction of Spider-Gwen, the anime one, and a few others I can't remember offhand. But this one is all female centric for the most part. So so Spider-Gwen is the main character. Then it has Spider, what did they call her? Spider UK. They have Chakra, Mini Spider, and Ghost Spider. So, I mean, it looks like terrible trash. I had to buy it because it's the introduction of these characters, and if you're a collector like I am, they're the issues that are worth a lot of money eventually. So yeah, it looks like
isn't that always a thing though? Like they had that rush of like loads of #1s. Because everyone thought that they were going to be the one that they made the money when they sold them back. Kind of like the NFTs of their day.
Well, that was the speculation. But what happens here is with those issues, they actually do. And consider, well, if you think about it, Edge of Spider-Verse introduced these characters who are brought into the Spider-Verse, the sequel coming out, and they will eventually use, I guarantee you, Spider UK is going to be used in a movie within 3 years.
Oh, well, I mean, you kind of, I think we're probably going to assume that some, if not most of these characters are probably going to show up
in Sony.
In the Edge of is it Edge of Spider-Verse the name? The following two Into the Spider-Verse movies.
Yeah.
Look, Madam Web's getting a movie. Like every corner of Spiderdom will be plundered by Sony. Raven's getting a movie.
Sony are just I don't want to incur his name. I do not wish to invoke him in this chat. But
it's Morbin time.
But yeah, no, they are going
morbed, Kev.
Just got morbed. Guys, it's a great podcast. I'll see you never. But yeah, no, like Sony will dig through whatever barrel they have the rights to.
And that's what
at this point.
And the thing of it is, it's like I actually really like alternative universes. I really enjoy the multiverse as a concept, and Spider-Man is like apt for that. I don't know, it just seems very cynical. Like when I saw it, I was just like, oh, that seems really cynical. I like Spider-Gwen. I think he's great. But yeah, I mean, the real stands do not buy Marvel books because they're usually garbage tier, and they are. I mean, like legitimately, there has not been there like when one appears that's good. You're like, oh well, okay, great. Unless
Hey,
it's
Kian,
better.
I've been listening to this thing for the past 3 weeks. I had no say in it because I don't read comics. I think you could. Do you have an input here?
Well, see, I don't. I have been reading newer books, but they're from my local library, so I have no idea how up to date they are. But from the Marvel side of things, I have been reading the new Invaders, which
Okay.
are, kind of set post Old Man Cap, and that's been really good. Like, kind of been like it's all of the
But
original characters.
what
Like,
year was this?
again, I don't know. It's library. It's new for me, but I stopped reading in 2009. Like, or
All right,
something
so
like that.
2014, 2015 is like the last gasp of Marvel. Just before they kind of reboot with everything. That's the problem. Marvel had this continuity and then they rebooted it and it's just trashed here now.
Is that what that one more day? What,
No,
like,
that was way before. That's when Spider-Man.
see, this is what I mean, though. What's new to me isn't necessarily current. What I have been reading has all been kind of really good stuff, though. I've been catching up on the original Jessica Jones run.
That's stellar. Like I think that's fairly old, but like that, the names.
Vision had a solo series where like he built a robotic family, sort of a reverse WandaVision.
Yeah, I read
and
that.
that's been really, really good.
That was really good.
Kind of, but again, I can't. The New Mutants I've been reading there, like that's stellar. Like, but I can't attest to. Oh, Mark Waid's Daredevil, which is now like my favorite like comic series because it's just like really funny and like offbeat.
I love that. I actually read that when it came out. I think you're reading when I initially started like collecting books. That's pretty good up to a point, and then it kind of falls off a cliff. But no, it's really funny, and that they're actually saying that's going to be the basis for the new Daredevil show.
I hope so, because it's
That's
got
what
a
I'm saying.
real nice mix of like the melodrama that comes with him, but also sort of that offbeat. With like the last one I read, he takes a legal case involving the Silver Surfer. Like, it's just
Everybody has the right to legal representation, Kian. I learned that from watching Better Call Saul.
But that's it. But there was a nice crossover in the She-Hulk series where Old Man Captain America is put on trial and like Matt Murdock is the prosecution and She-Hulk is the defense. And like I seem to have missed some sort of 2015 Marvel boom because there's a lot of good series that seem to run around that time, which I stopped reading after the Civil War, but there seems to have been lots of quality stuff. I'm just trying to find out the date of the Invaders I mentioned earlier. I'm sorry to hear that like a lot of it has run off the rails, but I assumed that was kind of part of that. The mainline Marvel things are copying the movies as opposed to the other way around. And B, that sort of boom bust thing of we need a big crossover event every 2 years. Let's start a series and then kill it and reboot it and lose those readers type stuff, It's
not even that. It's just none of it makes any sense. It's just...
It never did.
No, come on now. That's not true. I mean, like, there's no good characters that you can relate to. Or do you just release stuff just to say, this is the first X character, this is the first Y character, or whatever. Or this is something cynical to, like Edge of Spider-Verse. That's a cynical thing. So Sony can be like, yeah, here we go, more movies. It's just very cynical. I'm like,
I don't mind if they're good when they arrive.
Well, look, Spider-Gwen is great, to be fair. But even in the first Edge of Spider-Verse, the mech one wasn't very good. That was the one written by Jared Way, actually.
Are you talking about the comic or the film
comic
adaptation?
No, I'm talking about the comic.
Okay.
And that was written by Jared Way, the guy from that terrible band that people like for some reason.
That's absolute slander, and my 15-year-old self would slap you in the face. But also, he is a halfway decent comic writer. The Umbrella Academy is a really good series.
Oh no, I can't stand him or his terrible band. So did not like that.
We as Nerd to Know do not condone Dara's personal opinions.
We are not affiliated with this man with in every aspect of the operation.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I know I'm deeply unpopular on that, but I just don't get it. I really don't. I used to love emo as well, but like Taking Back Sunday and Census Fail, and then they showed up, and I'm like, This is why you get bullied, you know. Anyway, so it's true.
No, it's not.
This is like people
No.
bully them. Anyway, this is why you
You've
don't
become
bring...
everything you swore to destroy.
You were supposed to bring balance to the forest, not leave it in darkness. But yeah, I mean that's the problem with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It kind of opens this, but then again, any new Spider-Man, I'm gonna have some interest in it, and like even as bad as Marvel can get, still gonna buy a Spider-Man book. I mean, that's just what happens. So there we go. There's my bi-weekly anti-Marvel comics rant. That also
Imagine there's a flashy logo in your head.
Well, it also divulged into why I hate Jared Way, but sorry, Kev. I just don't understand it. I'm too old. I'm too much of a boomer.
Goddamn boomers. They're even getting into our podcasts.
I just don't get it. I'm like, you kids with your bad emo music and
with our hot men and their catchy tunes.
They were not catchy.
God damn them.
Just not catchy. No,
your tiki talk.
Some about Black Parade and I don't know, cancer, and I don't know what these things are.
Back in my day, we had Vines.
Remember Vines? They're back as TikToks.
more than 9
Vines
seconds.
were too long. 20 seconds was too long for your entertainment. It has to be a good sharp 6.5.
Exactly. You gotta rot that brain.
Really, it has to be an image that tricks you.
Oh my god, it's so I'm not on TikTok. I personally don't be. That's my advice as a security professional. It not safe. But if you are, fair enough. However, I do get and that's coming from like the actual breakdown of the app. It's legit, like there's not good. And I can go into why, but I'm not going to. There's YouTube videos you can watch on it. But I do get a lot of my TikToks from Instagram.
Yeah, me too, which
From
sort
the
of
reels.
defeats the purpose of it.
The best thing most modern platforms are doing are just ripping TikToks. That's half of Twitter's brand right now.
I mean, let's be honest, Instagram ripped off Snapchat, so like that's second generation down.
That's fair, but the thing of it is, at least I'm like, my phone isn't like just basically a data mine for TikTok, which I'm like, grand, that's okay. I'm okay with Meta taking my data though, because at least they tell you up front,
I am going to mug you.
Yes. At least they give you the notification of, hey,
they have the good dignity to buy you dinner before plunging a knife into you.
There you go. That's it, exactly. But here, guys, on a happy note, right? From all this in battle talk, we're getting a Lego store tomorrow.
Hey!
Or by this time, it will already.
We will have had a Lego store for 2 days by the time this airs.
Now, here's the thing, right? So on Geek Ireland right now, they actually have all the pictures that you can see, and it looks pretty cool. One of the coolest things about a Lego store is like the unique teaming that they have in like different parts. So like, you go to Rome, you go to the one in Rome or Milan or France or whatever. They have like specific things for wherever they are. And in Ireland, for some reason, they have an Old Trafford. Although, no, it's not Old Trafford. It's supposed to be the Aviva, but looks like Old Trafford. I'm going to assume it's the Aviva, but, dropped the ball a little bit there. The Poolbeg Tower, Dublin, which also looks bizarre. And then you have like a bunch of like GAA players. And I'm a little bit disappointed, lads. I'm just.
Well, what did you want representing our culture?
Well, I mean, it's better than having a leprechaun, but they could have like.
You wouldn't want fizzy Tato crisps.
Have you had those yet? I haven't had those yet.
No, they're delicious.
Is it too much to
trend? But yes.
Now, is it too much to ask for a Lego Jim Larkin?
What, like holding up?
Have we considered a Lego Countess Markovich? I'm just. Have we considered a Lego interpretation of Fionn McCool and the boys?
See, that one would make sense. Or Cuchulainn, or Dustin, or these things.
Saki,
an
institution. The Morbegs.
The Morbegs. But I'm just like, it's kind of a bit half. Like, to be honest with you, right? In Milan, right, they have a full scale, like a full Lego Duomo, and it's incredible. And it's like, whoa, that's amazing. So the Duomo is the big church in the middle of Milan, for anyone who doesn't know, and it's incredible when you're there, right? It's also when you go to Instagram, it's you know, it's all over Instagram for some reason. And but yeah, you go to the Lego store there, and they have a full scale replica of it. It's amazing. And then you're looking here, and you're like, lads, come on, like,
Yeah, but like it's
come on.
look, having been to the one in Amsterdam, it's like it's great fun to go in and make a little Lego figure of yourself and like see all these sets you wouldn't usually find on the website and all that kind of stuff. I will, because it should be worth mentioning, because of the demand for this, they will be having like half an hour slots, or like people are only going to be allowed to stay half an hour, which is reasonable enough. I'm probably going to give it like 2 weeks birth.
Yeah, fair.
And just let everyone kind of get excited about it before going in. But yeah, I'm just thrilled to have a Lego shop in Dublin. It's so, I like Lego is such a wholesome thing for me. I love going to the Comic Cons and finding rare figures and all that kind of stuff. I love making Lego with my daughter and all that. It's an expensive toy, but it's a real wholesome thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's also one of those destinations, like, you know, I go to London for a handful of reasons, but like, you know, anytime I'm in London, I feel the need to be like, yeah, I'll go to Leicester Square. I'll go to the Lego shop.
Absolutely.
It would be great if we had an M&M shop as well, but
no, hold on. So actually, I was going to bring it up, right? The M&M, I've never lasted more than 10 minutes in there because the smell.
Oh, it's pure sugar.
It's pure sugar, and the higher you, so it's like 5 stories of M&Ms, which I'm like, when I leave that shop, I'm like, actually, I never want to see an M&M again. So I'm like, defeats the purpose. How do you stand it, Kev?
I just let it wash over me. I just let it consume me, begin the teeth rotting, and then just ride a wave of M and M and M and M and M and M.
See, look, I they wouldn't be my favorite chocolate to go for, but I'm amazed. Like, even in Times Square, there's one.
Not even the crunchy ones.
But I'm like, is there that much of a demand for M&Ms?
It's the thing is, I find it's less even about the M&M. It's literally the image, just the presentation of it. You just kind of, I walk around that shop and like this. It's not even that I go in there to buy anything. I walk around and it's like, this is like a museum. This is just
fair.
Like, I am just walking around just something that like this does not feel of this earth. There is giant candy people that tower over me like gods of Olympus, made of sugar and chocolate.
See, I again, this is going back to our earlier point. I just don't get it, Kev.
It's a bizarro thing. As I said, I don't go in there as like a shop to buy trinkets. I go in there to experience an M&M world that is not of our own.
See, that sounds terrifying to me. It'd be like when Homer's put on trial by the donuts. That's what would happen to me.
I went in there in December, and I was like, all right, I'll go in and I'll try to buy something, and I just couldn't. I was like, I want to leave, you know, and I did.
You just not like happiness?
No, I do. Okay, but the thing about the Lego shop is it upsets me a little bit, you know, and I'm afraid when I go in, I'm going to complain because I'm like, you know, this is like half-assed, you know. I'm just disappointed. I expected more.
Half-assed Lego shop.
A little bit.
How do you half-ass a Lego shop with Lego in it?
Hold on, wait. I'm seeing there's more Lego things here. I'm just like, okay, so they have a Halfpenny Bridge mural. And then some lad holding a stick, and then some lad, no, that's not a lad, some woman playing the fiddle. There's no junkies there though. This is not like a junkie, a Lego junkie.
See, I'm starting to think the problem's more with you and your expectations.
Potentially, my expectations have not been met. Like, you know, it doesn't represent Dublin at all. I mean,
oh yeah, no, what we need is a Lego interpretation of Dublin's crack problem. I mean. The Spire is kind of a monument to that already, but like,
all I'm saying is, do better, Lego, do better.
I should stress, the shop is not open at the time we are recording this.
We are hoisting a lot of heady expectations on it for a shop that is not open yet.
Here's the thing: I spend a lot of money on Lego, guys, right? Legitimately, I have.
Really?
I have something like 15 undone Lego sets that I will eventually get around to. So, I mean, I'm not going in there for my own safety so I do not buy more Lego. I really want that pyramid. I have nowhere to put that pyramid, but if I'm near it, I'm going to buy it. So I cannot go in there. But if I do go in there, they can expect comments.
See, isn't that the life cycle of being a nerd, though? It's like exciting new thing gets announced that everyone wants, complains about it, buys it anyway, repeats.
This is called being a wrestling fan, Keen. That's how it works.
It's Michael Campbell's, whatever his name's, Campbell's second less popular sequel to Zero's Journey. Waka waka.
Waka waka. Right, moving on. You guys have Neil Gaiman things to talk about, so I'm going to sit back because I haven't seen either of them. I've read.
We won't spoil.
Martin Gods,
this is,
and I've read
and
Sandman,
in fact,
but I haven't seen
you're
it.
to step in if we're even sounding vaguely spoily, because this is something worth seeing.
Okay, right.
Yes.
I'm gonna step back here and let you guys nerd out on that.
Yes, well, after long development processes that have come and gone nowhere, an adaptation for television of Netflix's Neil Gaiman's Sandman now exists on Netflix, and I assumed it'd be something that would either never exist or would be terrible, and this is neither. And for anyone who may not be familiar with Sandman, I mean, what are you doing here? But sure, anyway, this is basically the house that built Neil Gaiman, or vice versa, depending on what way you interpret the phrase. It is his original run of comics from the late 80s, early 90s that really shaped the comic book landscape. And now the first 2 volumes of those books are now 10 episodes on Netflix. Kev, were you familiar with Sandman before you saw this now, or?
Here's the thing. I really wasn't. I never read it.
You working in a bookshop?
Man, trades are expensive. It was something like I never got around to because trades are just kind of that expensive. I knew it was like a 10-volume series, and it was just something I never got a chance to really check out, even though I've heard nothing but praise about it.
Did you never just pick one up and read it when you were working?
See, we never had it.
That's a problem. That's the thing.
It was something
ordered in.
Yeah, but it was also then something that listen, not to put myself back into trauma, but it was something that I would have ordered in to flick through that would have cost like 30 quid to try and sell.
Yeah.
So,
did you read 1,000 issues of manga pirates though?
Yeah, because One Piece is a goddamn masterpiece, Cian. Catch up.
This sounds like excuses.
1,050, I'll have you know. But yeah, it was just something I never really kind of got around to, and eventually just came around to last week when it came out on Netflix. I was like, well, I'll see what the hullabaloo is about if this is any good. And the consensus being, yes, it is very good. Yes, it is. Actually, that's one thing I wanted to ask you is how close to the comics is it?
Much more than I was expecting. It's now Neil Gaiman is directly involved with it, so that kind of lends it an air of legitimacy. But where American Gods just took the story and used it as a kind of a springboard to tell something completely different, this is surprisingly faithful. Every episode is either an issue from the books or maybe 2 short stories crammed together or something like that. But yes, everything runs in the order that it does in the first 2 books of the comic series. The only slight changes, and I'm going to avoid spoilers as much as possible, is that they bring the Corinthian from book 2 to the start of book 1 just to give it a kind of a bigger shape.
Okay.
And they condense and mix some characters
there's things like that are kind of expected for an adaptation from comics to TV.
They're good. They're good choices.
Yeah.
It's just I was surprised by how faithful it was. I was expecting much bigger kind of concessions to TV, but no, it really wasn't. I'll breeze over very quickly the changes, which is that they're very minor. There's little things instead of in Hell, instead of Dream going up against the demon who stole his helmet, they made him go up against Lucifer. Nice little change, not huge in the grand scheme of things. They have condensed Lyta Hall and Rose's mother into one character functionally. it's just lots of they introduced the guy who steals the ruby earlier on and connect him to the kidnappers. That doesn't exist in the book. Really small changes. And initially I worried that the first 2 or 3 episodes would get bogged down in this kind of stuff because it felt like there was a lot of filler, but I think it finds its groove by about episode 4 and stays pretty faithful on the grand scheme of things. The only kind of little changes would be just like making Lucien a bit more three-dimensional, giving the Sandman more of a concrete arc, which you wouldn't necessarily need to do in a comic book, but across TV, you kind of do want something to change. So yeah, by and large, surprisingly faithful. I am honestly shocked, not just at how faithful it is, but how much people seem to have accepted it based on how weird the series is to begin with, you know? I mean, what was your impression? I should say, before I pass to Kev, I loved it. Stevie utterly hated it, and I've read all the books religiously. It's one of my I'll read it once a year things. Stevie hasn't, and it wasn't really until it was over that she kind of started to like it. But what were your kind of impressions of it, Kev?
No, having not read it, I definitely picked up knowing that it was a comic book adaptation. That was kind of in the back of my mind, even though I didn't actually know the material. That still kind of colored how I was going to watch it. And I definitely kind of picked up the fact that it is very episodic. There is a running through line. There is themes and plots that kind of carry through, but each hour is kind of its own mini arc that almost kind of naturally resolves itself by the end. Some even kind of being completely self-contained. The episode with the guy in the bar. The diner is a whole thing, but that's kind of also wrapping up at 3 episodes worth of stuff.
Yeah.
But the guy in the bar, what's his name?
That is actually the meeting every 100 years. That is actually not only my favorite Sandman issue, it's my favorite short story. I read that quite regularly. Yeah.
That's it. And that's just what they have a short kind of intro sequence where he's walking with death.
That is I think the first award-winning Sandman story, the one where he essentially follows death on work experience.
Yeah. So that's it. But that's an episode that you could probably take fully out of this show and just say, hey, here, just watch this short film effectively with the context of this man is the king of dreams. Go. And I really enjoyed that. I thought it was a really kind of fun, engaging, just kind of concept, because it is the wheelhouse of Gaiman to just reinterpret mythology in this kind of way.
Yeah.
Like the whole premise of Sandman being that the idea of the endless, of these concepts of dream and desire and death, having this personification, not in a classical pantheon of gods way, but in these endless beings that actually directly interact with the mortals of our world. He's always had a real knack for it.
Yeah, it makes me wonder, actually, if it wasn't contradictory. You have versions of Odin, Thor, and Loki popping up in American Gods and in Sandman. And in Neil Gaiman's head, are all these things sharing a world? Or is it just every time he starts a new universe, he just takes those concepts from scratch? He covered the Norse tales, didn't he?
I think so. Oh yeah. Well, he basically just retold the Prose Edda. That's that was the Norse mythology he did. That was just, hey, we want to sell the recent version of the Prose Edda. Let's just stick Neil Gaiman's name on it. But yeah, I'm gonna actually kind of pass that to you, because I have read shockingly little Neil Gaiman. I think actually really only American Gods and Good Omens, but I think it's fair to call that more a Pratchett joint. I know it's both of them, but I've read that and that feels more like a Pratchett book. Yeah. But yeah, no, I'd say he probably kind of separates them. That's Sandman, I think, has kind of got a mythology, from what I understand, that it could be implanted over most anything, but...
Well, actually, I'm glad you brought up mythology, because the elephant in the room is that the first 5 issues of Sandman are very specifically set in the DC universe. In fact, they have to rework a lot of it, where the character with the ruby who's going around, he was an old DC villain, and the Dream has to go to the Justice League to essentially track him down.
Right.
And-
I knew that it was published by DC, but I didn't know it was in the Justice League universe.
Oh yeah, totally. Like Arkham Asylum is a big part of the first arc. Like, so I wouldn't say a big part, but like you couldn't not notice the Martian Manhunter and all that kind of stuff.
Oh my God.
And they essentially dropped that entire angle from like the Rose Walker arc onwards. But I obviously was prepped for it not being there. And then all of a sudden, like all these like Batman action figures and Wonder Woman and Flash iconography start popping up in the second half of the season. So it's kind of like, well, hang on. Is this DC or isn't it? Because they never made a complete decision in Sandman. Like, I mean, later on near the end, Batman and Green Lantern and all that turn up. And indeed, Sandman has appeared in other DC properties now and again.
It's DC it's DC Vertigo.
It's Vertigo, but they are very coy about whether Dream exists in the same world as Wonder Woman. Like, I mean, the fact that John or Joanne Constantine exists is the biggest holdover from the fact that they are in that shared universe, you know?
I'd say, like, if just kind of getting into like nitty gritty of kind of licensing rights, considering it's Netflix who don't really deal with DC, I'd say this is more of just, we know, like, we're aware that this is, like, I'd say it's just the creators are like, we're aware that this had its roots in the DC universe. So we've like managed to license some iconography for cameos, but I'm not going to hold out for a Batman to show up in this series.
No, but like I was surprised when there were little touches of DC turning up near the end of the series, because I assumed, like you said, like we're fast and cut all that off. That's fine. I mean, I don't mind. I just like, I mean, we do have like 3 Batmans and 3 Jokers who apparently all exist in the same place. So like, it doesn't bother me. I found it interesting that they drew attention to it, like creatively, like, you know.
Again, I think that just kind of goes to show that the creators just know this series, are fans of this series, and are aware of its roots.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of like just nodding, just tipping the hat to that and saying, hey, we know what this show has relation to. So just like, you know, we're aware, we can see it.
Yeah, completely. And I want to highlight just like the sheer, even if you don't go for the Sandman stories, it's such a pretty show to look at. And there's like, they find like, again, I'm trying to avoid talking about American Gods too much because we'll be here all day. But like, American Gods was a real pretty show, but it was a very weird looking show. This is like gorgeous. Like, I mean, you'll just see sequences of like Dream assembling a place to meet someone by literally picking a road up out of someone's dream, and like all this like forced perspective stuff. It reminded me of Cuphead in a way, because Cuphead, bizarre as it sounds, did loads of really creative things with not just its animation, but the kinds of animation it used. One little thing I noticed was Mark Hamill's character, the talking pumpkin guy. Yeah. He is fully stop motion, but only him.
Really?
Which is, go back and look at it. It's actually, his head is a proper like Jack Skellington claymation type thing, and like it's such a little detail, but they must have put a huge amount of work into it just for this one character,
to blend it with live action and to blend it with VFX and that. Yeah, weird, wild.
But again, you've got Mark Hamill playing this tiny character. You've got loads of talent like across the board. Like, it's great to see the likes of like Tom Sturridge, who's been kicking around for a decade and not being noticed.
Also, like to give just to mention to him, like I, as I said, hadn't read it, but I was fully aware of it and knew the sad, dour dream figure. Very much lead singer of The Cure vibe. And kind of like I had that image of him, like, and I think it was when I saw press photos of Tom Sturridge, I was like, I mean, he kind of doesn't look it. He kind of just looks like just a sad dude, but not like the sad dude.
Yeah.
When I was fully caught off guard with that deep droll he managed to put on, and I was like, oh no, that's okay. No, I can fully buy that this man is the king of the dreaming realm.
I mean, if you want to like kind of see more of his stuff, like he's in stuff like The Boat That Rocked and all that. But the way I noticed him was, I brought it up on the show before. Years ago, the BBC did this series called The Hollow Crown, where they did the histories of Shakespeare plays as a mini series. And he was the son of the Tom Hiddleston character. Historically, he was Henry VI. So you've got loads of scenes of him facing off against Benedict Cumberbatch. And he held his own. I was like, who the hell is this? Like, he looks so young and he sounds like a bear or something like that. Just that voice and that contrast. It's so unusual, you know.
This is a kid that's getting ready to play Hamlet.
Yeah, exactly. But like Sandman is such a hard character, or Dream, whatever you want to call him, is such a hard character to pin down because he's written to be incredibly unlikable. And that's the point. I've seen loads of like clickbait articles come up saying Dream is a horrible boss. And I go, yeah, that's what it's about. He becomes more human. That's the idea.
His mismanagement is kind of the plot here. Thoroughly enjoyed it. It's working its way to being one of my favorite Gaiman adaptations, but it's going to take a lot to dethrone the absolute best one.
Which is?
Stardust, obviously.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Coraline.
Oh, God. I forgot that was Gaiman. Coraline's real good as well. Yeah. Damn, I think it's American Gods kind of just soured me on Neil Gaiman adaptations. But I remember, I was like, oh wait, no, there's actually a lot of really, really good ones out there.
I mean, if you want to see one that Neil Gaiman doesn't like, there's a Neverwhere adaptation from the 80s with like Peter Capaldi in it. That the way Gaiman tells it, the TV show got picked up before the book came out, and so he was getting into constant fights with the director, and the director just said, if you don't like it, write it differently in your book. And he did. And no one has seen this, apparently, except me.
I've got Neverwhere. I've literally got a stack of books I'm making my way through, and Neverwhere is in that.
Neverwhere is one of the novels. Neverwhere is my favorite.
So I may check out that series after I finish Neverwhere.
For Neil Gaiman's sake, read the book first.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'll check out the series first, or the book first, then the series.
Yeah.
Just tangent. I love it when I find out that books were written. I think it mostly happens with comics, but comics and books that are written concurrently with the adaptations, like the two I always jump back to are Scott Pilgrim and Akira.
Oh yeah,
it's both of them were really popular when they started, had a relatively short run, but dead in the middle of them, they were like, no, we're picking this up for an adaptation. And I was like, we haven't finished it yet. or they're writing like the last chapter when the movie's going, and they're like, oh, I see how this movie's going. Damn, this ending's way better than the one I'm writing. I'm gonna take this ending.
Yeah, actually, I mean, like we've got like about 10 minutes left. That's actually bounce around kind of like Neil Gaiman adaptations, because Neil Gaiman is such a very specific style that it's quite hard to visualize. That's what I was afraid of with Sandman. Is it's such a gorgeous book that really, no matter how good your special effects are, unless you do it really creatively, it's going to be hard to like translate. And so you've got loads and loads of kind of different approaches to that to like get around that. A lot of the time, it's just the most successful ones have been audiobooks. There's a really good parallel Sandman audiobook going at the moment with the Scottish actor who plays Professor X.
James McAvoy. I've been hearing really good things about that audiobook. Yeah.
And like the Neverwhere one with Benedict Cumberbatch and James McAvoy again, funnily enough. That's really good. I have never seen Stardust. How does like Stardust kind of adapt? Because I've read the book and the book is weird.
That's the thing. I haven't actually read the book. But Stardust, from what I understand from what I've heard of the book, it's that it kind of just strips down a lot of the cruff, like Stardust that had a lot of this kind of like odd kind of world building, and just kind of really strips it down as like, here's the story of this man trying to bring this star back to his unrequited love. And just kind of makes it a much more kind of classical fairy tale with this kind of just with this grandscaping adventure. And it's just gorgeous. Like I like for a 2007 film, it looks stellar. Like it uses a lot more on scenic shooting. So like a lot of English countryside, a lot of that. But even like the palace, I'm assuming, again, having not read the series, the palace with the king and the seven sons is this absolute Tower of Babylon that it like you don't get a lot of shots of, but you get this massive winding sweep of it up.
Right.
And there's just lavishly, any scene around it is just so lavishly decked out.
Yeah.
And yeah, like for I think I want to say 2007, it just looks really good. They managed to get the VFX to mix with the practical just well enough that it doesn't look jarring or rubbery.
Yeah.
Throw into that just a truly bonkers cast.
Yeah, it's like Robert De Niro and Ricky Gervais.
Robert De Niro and Ricky Gervais are like side characters. Charlie Cox is the main guy.
Pre-Daredevil Charlie Cox.
Younger Charlie Cox. Which I always find funny because I can't remember who plays his dad when he's older, but the very start of it is the dad going over at the wall. To meet the mother. And they got Ben Barnes to play a young version of the dad. And it's like, guys, you had Ben Barnes. Why did you get Ben Barnes to play?
Yeah.
Like, I love Charlie Cox. He's really good. He plays, because that character is really stupid for most of that movie. He plays that really well. But you had Ben Barnes.
Yeah.
Just like a stellar cast. Mark Strong plays Septimus, the son that lasts.
I mean,
the
look,
longest.
if Mark Strong almost elevated Green Lantern. He is just quality villains.
But like even kind of like as an anti-hero, and was it? Yeah, Michelle Pfeiffer as the witch. God, the witch, like they are also just terrifying. These witches want to hunt the star just to prolong their life even more, the century. Just an incredible classical fairy tale. I think it's on Netflix now.
I'm going to watch it if it's on Netflix.
Absolute. No, go out of your way to watch it if you must. It is a wonderful movie that absolutely holds up.
Well, I want to kind of bounce around a bit because I think we only have a few minutes. But what about the Good Omens adaptation then?
I really liked it. Really liked it. And this is like, no, this one I can't compare because I actually did read the book first.
There you go.
Which is completely incredible, by the way. That is a must-read book. So I was shocked that
it's funny you say that because like I did read Good Omens having not read any Terry Pratchett, and I went, this is a bit too Terry Pratchett-y for me.
You kind of like you kind of know. You just kind of like feel his just kind of like very aloof, kind of goofy British fantasy.
Yeah, it's kind of like I know it can't possibly be this way, but I do feel like the Michael Sheen Angel is very Terry Pratchett, and the David Tennant demon is very from the Endless side of the camp. It's almost like if you took like a Zack Snyder like superhero and like Ant-Man and made them get along, you know?
Yeah.
It has that lovely metatextual quality to it.
It does. I think if you really went through it, you could definitely pull apart what segments were written by Neil Gaiman and what segments. I think it's very much that the dialogue seems very Pratchett because he has that back and forth banter just like down to a knock and tee. I think one of the parts that I love is I got like an anniversary edition of the book that had like a little Q&A.
Yeah.
And I think it was a Q&A with Neil Gaiman. And one of the questions was, what was it like writing a book with Terry Pratchett? And Neil was like, you got to remember, this is like the early 80s. We weren't Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman then.
Yeah,
I hadn't
this is before they've had their styles locked.
Yeah, Pratchett had just started writing Discworld, and like I don't think Neil Gaiman had written Sandman by this point.
No, this is the way Neil Gaiman tells it. It's very much like a sort of, he viewed Pratchett as the established and Gaiman as the aspiring, you know?
Yeah. So it was just two guys that managed to meet at a convention that were like, hey, do you want to write this weird book about heaven and hell? I just emailed and just like, hell, I don't even think they had email. Just post each other transcripts back and forth. But yeah, great book. Adaptation, really, really strong, like surprisingly strong.
Yeah, I've been waiting for something. I know The Boys is great, obviously.
Yeah.
But I've been waiting for something from Amazon Prime that really caught my imagination as much as that did. Because much as with The Sandman, with The Good Omens watching it, I was like, oh my God, they're actually committing to how weird it is. They're not like trying to explain it to a new audience or anything like that.
Yeah.
You know, the concessions are mild.
Yeah, no, I love Bad Omens. It was great.
Bad Omens?
Or Good Omens, whatever the show's called.
Oh, I thought you were deliberately trying to slip in.
I thought you were making a joke.
No, it's been so long since I've seen it. I just remember it being really good. Go watch.
I listened to the music for Good Omens on Spotify the other day, and I just started laughing because, like, it's just so bonkers that it exists. You know,
just even like and like it, again, as it fully commits to it, they're just like, okay, we need like a voice. We need a voice of a narrator who is also in the context of this movie, who is God. And they're like, what if we just got Frances McDormand? No hassle about it. And yeah, like it's propped up obviously. Michael Sheen and David Tennant, perfect casting, prop the entire thing up. And I can't remember if we mentioned this weeks ago, but they have announced a season 2, and Neil Gaiman has basically gone on the record, like when that was announced, to say that it was all because like this, the TV adaptation of Good Omens was like a pet project of Terry. It was something he really wanted to try and get off the ground, and then just couldn't before he passed away. And just like Gaiman managed to follow it through, get it through to Amazon, put it, and obviously we know it's great. So when season 2 got announced, and people were like, "Hold on, the book was finished. What do you mean season 2?" This is the season 2 that they're going for is a pitch Pratchett had for if the show ever got picked up, and like this was an idea that the two of them had to actually continue this story on.
Okay, well, look, if Michael Sheen and Dave, like I've watched Staged religiously. If you just put Michael Sheen and David Tennant together and just let them annoy each other,
he will clap like a monkey. Yeah.
I don't want to take Neil Gaiman's part of it out of it, but like you're off to a good start there. Like,
yeah.
No, before I think we've got how many? We've got 3 minutes. So I will just briefly give my thoughts on all the other Neil Gaiman adaptations. There is a theatrical production of The Ocean at the End of the Lane coming to Dublin next year, which has gotten great reviews, and I hope I get to see it now because I'm sure it'll sell out very quickly. American Gods is awful. Coraline is amazing. I've only just discovered in my brief Googling here, apparently the Lucifer on Netflix is Neil Gaiman's Lucifer, as in the Gwendolyn Yo character or whatever her name is. I didn't know that.
No, I fully just thought that was just completely set, like just a whole individual thing.
Yeah, exactly. But I've checked it up, and yeah, sure enough, basically it starts from where that version of Lucifer's story ends at the end of Sandman. It's like news to me. I'm gonna have to watch it now. And I think there's the only other Neil Gaiman ones off the top of my head, apart from obviously there's like Doctor Who episodes he's done and stuff. But as far as other Neil Gaiman stuff, he's done surprisingly amount of uncredited English dubs for Studio Ghibli movies. Most visibly in Princess Mononoke.
Yeah,
a Neil Gaiman thing.
You fully just threw me back to the Anime Crash Course recording where I did.
We covered it there, yeah. And one I've been trying to see for ages, but I actually can't because the film bombed so badly, I can't find it, which is an adaptation of a short story of his called How to Talk to Girls at Parties. And it's a film with like a stellar cast, but they took like a 15-page story and made a full feature of it by injecting aliens into it. And it sounds so wild. I'm kind of curious to track it down, you know?
Yeah, no, that sounds like something that needs to be dug out.
Yeah, 2017 films. Okay, it's not 48% Rotten Tomatoes. It doesn't seem like the worst thing in the world. But
just like for curiosity's sake.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, anybody has
Nicole
like a
Kidman, Elle Fanning, like Ruth Wilson, she's great. Like Matt Lucas, all these like top-notch actors, and no one's heard of this.
I think that's like, you know, let's use this platform. Just do a cold call. Anybody has like maybe just a rogue file of this. Our email's on the website, nerdsknowmedia@gmail.com. Just maybe shoot us a Google Drive link. If you have it, it'd be cool.
We'll also accept Blu-rays in the post.
I don't think we have a post address. Hey, Jared, we don't have a PO box, do we?
Kinda.
Is it your house?
No, it's definitely not my house. No way.
Okay,
I don't want to be shaking the post every time I go to it.
If you leave it in a nice velvet bag, in the Build-A-Bear of the Blanchardstown Shopping Centre,
it'll just be like, quick, honey, go out there and throw the post. Yep, that's right. Yep, there you go. Throw it up a bit more. It's okay, right? Bring it in. It's just Amazon.
Doesn't smell like anthrax. I think we're gonna be fine.
No, we're gonna be fine.
Whoa, Matthew Vaughn directed Stardust?
Yes, that was
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, no, and I like the Kingsman movies. Stardust is far and away better than any of the Kingsman.
Sorry,
which also, again, the Mark Strong link.
Sorry, I've just Googled the reviews for the Neil Gaiman Sandman on Netflix, and the first one that comes up calls it half-assed.
No.
What about this seems lazy?
No,
that was my review. Sorry.
There's a handful of things I could maybe critique it for. No, I could pretty much say that the creators put their full ass into this.
Hey, I use my whole ass.
Use a whole ass, and I think it's about time I used my whole ass to end this show.
So, before we go, I apologize to the Neil Gaiman adaptations that I did not get to mention. But Kev, is there anything you want to say before we wrap for this week?
No. We mentioned it earlier. Everybody should read One Piece. that's my
classic Neil Gaiman story.
That's my homework. Don't read Sandman, read One Piece. It's better world building.
You've just talked yourself out of being loaned all the books for free.
I know where you live.
You literally do, yeah. How about you, Dara?
Ahoy. Yes. A Hitman. Play it. It's really good. So,
Neil Gaiman classic. Thanks for staying on topic, guys.
Absolutely.
You can always trust us, Keane.
Actually, I know we're going over, but there is a Neil Gaiman Matrix story.
There is, actually. It's fantastic.
Yeah, which
it's
is really good.
Actually, that's a good segue. So you might not know this. We're going to go over a bit. So you may not know this. When The Matrix originally came out back in 1999, they released a bunch of comics, which I have some of, but they actually released them as anthology series, as like full anthologies, and you can get them now in hardback, and they re-released them for the anniversary. And it actually has Neil Gaiman's story in it, but it has some really, really good ones in it. And like, if you're a big fan of The Matrix as a thing rather than like the movies or the world, 100% recommend it. It's a fantastic little collection to have. So good show, Ken.
Oh yeah, well sure. I hope one day, because I'm a huge fan of Neil Gaiman, I hope one day to be like blessed by having a good comment or something. I've been to 2 of Amanda Palmer's shows and he was at one of them, but I just kind of shied away in the corner.
Well, Keane, here's what you can do, and here's a pro tip for everyone listening. If you go to Forbidden Planet in London and just look through his books, there will be a signed copy there, because they're always.
Oh, I thought you were saying he was going to turn up.
He might. He just
behind this curtain.
He just shows up. So I mean, if you want to sign, that's how I have a signed copy of American Gods. It's just because or if you're in an airport, just look through his books and he just signs them. So, I mean, it's not a very hard signature to get. So that's.
Oh my goodness! I'm sorry. There's one thing we almost missed, and it's in our own continuity.
What?
Neil Gaiman was in Arthur.
What's okay? Okay, it's definitely going in the thumbnail of whatever this episode is. But Neil Gaiman Arthur.
He was an Arthur, which is finished now. It finished last year. 22 years, either 22 or 25 years.
The magic of Matt Damon couldn't save it.
No, such a long run. Well, Matt Damon couldn't stop crypto from crashing either. So
yeah, that's true.
Or saved Asgard.
Is the weirdest thing I could say about this like cat Neil Gaiman is that he looks
him by his proper title.
Cat Gaiman. Is that he looks too happy? Like every picture I see of him is smiling, And for some reason, that just seems off for Neil Gaiman.
Not really. He never really looks sad, to be fair.
Yeah.
But he never looks happy.
That's a very good point. But to be fair,
Like, I'm not saying he's got like he's eternally sad, but he doesn't look happy.
Yeah, I suppose.
But I suppose when you're a cat, isn't everybody happy being a cat?
Cats seem perpetually miserable, and they've no reason to be.
Depends which ones. You're hanging
That's
out with the
true.
wrong cats.
Maybe.
There is one thing I wanted to bring up real quick. So Hitman was part of the PlayStation sale, and I'm a big fan of the Hitman games. I played 2. I got it for free as part of the PlayStation Plus, and now the third one, it was €89 down to €31, and I'm just like, was this all just part of a grand conspiracy to con money out of people by giving you a little bit of it and then being like, yeah, pay us more of that good stuff to get the rest of it? And I'm like, fine. They're also, so I mean, I'm really enjoying it. I would 100% recommend it, but even though that's a little bit of a shady practice, in my opinion. Also, there's a really good game coming. QuakeCon at the moment is happening. So if you're looking for Bethesda games, buy them all now because they're dirt cheap, and this will still be relevant on Saturday.
Yeah.
And Cult of the Lamb. Have you guys heard of Cult of the Lamb?
I've heard of it. I may give it a shot because I've heard it's very base buildy and kind of town simmy. But I am a very big fan of the very dark, thick line satanic imagery.
So I have heard from a very close source. I have heard nothing but incredible things about it. Apparently, it's very similar to Binding of Isaac, but a little bit more forgiving.
I've heard it's somewhere between Animal Crossing and The Binding of Isaac.
Yes. That's exactly it. What was it? Evil Corp resource managing mixed up Binding of Isaac. That's how it was described to me. So apparently it is fantastic. So I haven't picked it up yet because I'm not paying €22, €23 for it. It's on the Switch as well. But I will get to it eventually. I've heard nothing but good things from a very close source, so I'd recommend that too.
If I can pry myself away from Final Fantasy 14 for long enough, I might play it.
Fair.
It's not happening.
Fair.
Not happening.
Right. Well, that seems as good a time as any to wrap it up. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. I apologize to the mega Neil Gaiman fans who inevitably I've forgotten some worthy work that has been forgotten. But we'll be back next week, hopefully with more Lego Shop updates. If anyone from Lego wants to come on and justify the lack of a full-size Finn McCool statue, we're happy to have you. If anyone survives working in that shop that first week,
oh man,
let us know.
We salute to you, brave soldiers.
We salute you, absolutely.
We will play a 21. The Lego don't have guns. For what do they have? A 21 brick in the air salute to the fallen Lego workers because this is going out on Saturday. Yeah. But we will be back next week. But until then, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Join us at NerdToKnowMedia.com.
All right, so you're listening to the podcast. You're like, hey, I'm not in Ireland. How do I get in touch? Well, TuneIn has you covered. That's how you can check us out live when we're on the radio. You go to TuneIn and download the app, or you can check out the live streams on nerdtoknowmedia.com or Phoenix 92.5 FM. If you want to get in contact with us, it's very easy. Nerd to Know Media everywhere. Nerd to Know Media on Twitter. Nerd to Know Media Instagram. Nerd to Know Media on Twitch. Nerd to Know Media at gmail.com if you want to reach out via email. Hope to hear from you soon.
What are you doing over there in Ireland? Like with the freaking leprechauns and everything. That's not cool. You should be over there with the cosplayers. At least then you could, like, I don't know, pretend like you got, I don't know, some kind of thing going on. Yeah, you give me a Brooklyn way. Yeah, with ya. Sarah. Anyway, we miss you.
Face down, face up, trap cuts, spell cuts, then time to let go. I love it. All I do is just believe in them.
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.